The flickering light of the television cast long shadows across the living room. The room was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional crackle of static from the old TV set. It was the perfect setting for a night of horror movies, a tradition we had upheld for years. Empty bags of scary snacks lay scattered on the floor, evidence of our indulgence. We had devoured them mindlessly, our attention glued to the screen as one terrifying scene after another played out before us. The remnants of a horror movie marathon were all around us. Soda cans, half-eaten popcorn, and candy wrappers littered the room, creating a chaotic yet familiar mess. It was a scene of comfort, despite the chilling content on the screen. Outside, a storm raged, rain lashing against the windows like 1,000 claws. The wind howled, adding to the atmosphere of dread. Lightning flashed, illuminating the room in brief, ghostly bursts. It was as if nature itself was conspiring to enhance our night of terror. Little did we know, a real-life horror was about to unfold, one far more terrifying than anything on screen. The storm outside was just the beginning, a prelude to the nightmare that was about to descend upon us. The news started innocently enough, a report of strange lights in the sky over rural Nevada. We laughed it off, thinking it was just another UFO sighting, the kind that always turned out to be a weather balloon or some other mundane explanation. Then came the screams from a small town in Kansas, whispers of the dead walking the earth, hungry for living flesh. The news anchors tried to maintain their composure, but the fear in their eyes was unmistakable. This was no ordinary news report. This was the beginning of the end. These were just the first whispers of the storm to come, a storm that would soon engulf the world in a tide of blood and terror. The reports grew more frequent, more horrifying. Cities fell, one by one, as the dead rose and the living fled in terror. Nobody knew it then, but the end was already written in the stars. The constellations seemed to mock us, their cold, distant light a reminder of our insignificance. We were but players in a cosmic horror story, our fate sealed long before we ever realized the danger we were in. The first sign of the alien invasion was subtle, an unnatural silence that fell over the Nevada desert. Then, the sky ripped open. A colossal spaceship, sleek and black as obsidian, descended from the heavens, casting the earth in an eerie green glow. Out of this metal monstrosity poured creatures unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Tall and skeletal, with skin like polished granite and eyes that burned with cold, calculating intelligence, they moved with an unnerving grace. Meanwhile, in Kansas, the dead were rising. What began as isolated incidents in the local cemetery quickly escalated. The dead, reanimated by an unknown force, swarmed the town, their decaying flesh hanging from their bones, their eyes glowing with a malevolent hunger. They were relentless, driven by a single primal urge to consume. The aliens, with their advanced technology and chilling intellect, seemed unstoppable. Their sleek metallic forms glided through the air with an eerie grace, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. They communicated in a language of clicks and hums, incomprehensible to human ears, yet filled with a cold, calculating precision. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything humanity could dream of, making them a formidable foe. Their weapons, firing beams of pure energy, could level entire city blocks in seconds. These beams, a dazzling display of destructive power, cut through steel and concrete as if they were paper. Buildings crumbled, and the very ground shook under the force of their assault. The sky was often lit with the eerie glow of these energy beams, a constant reminder of the aliens' dominance. Humans, with their primitive firearms and desperate courage, stood little chance. They fought valiantly, their hearts filled with a mix of fear and determination. The sound of gunfire echoed through the streets, a stark contrast to the silent efficiency of the alien weapons. Despite their bravery, the human resistance was often overwhelmed, their efforts seeming futile against such advanced adversaries. The zombies, though individually weak, possessed a horrifying strength in numbers. They moved as a relentless horde, their decaying bodies driven by an insatiable hunger. Each step they took was accompanied by the sickening sound of flesh and bone, a macabre symphony of death. Their sheer numbers made them a force to be reckoned with, overwhelming any defenses with their sheer persistence. They were a relentless tide of decay, their bites carrying a horrifying infection that transformed the living into one of them. This infection spread rapidly, turning friends and family into mindless monsters. The sight of a loved one succumbing to the virus was a nightmare come to life, a stark reminder of the fragility of humanity. The transformation was swift and brutal, leaving little time for goodbyes. But what could possibly unite these two seemingly disparate forces of darkness? The aliens with their cold logic and advanced technology, and the zombies with their mindless hunger and overwhelming numbers, seemed to have nothing in common. Yet, in the face of a shared threat, Even the most unlikely of alliances can be forged. The meeting of these two dark forces was a moment of chilling significance, a turning point in the battle for survival. The answer, as terrifying as it was simple, soon became clear: a shared enemy. Humans, with their capacity for both love and violence, represented a threat to the aliens' cold logic and the zombies' insatiable hunger. The very qualities that made humans unique also made them a target. Their ability to adapt, to fight back, and to hope in the face of despair was something neither the aliens nor the zombies could tolerate. Humans, with their capacity for both love and violence, represented a threat to the aliens' cold logic and the zombies' insatiable hunger. This duality, this ability to feel deeply and act decisively, was both their greatest strength and their greatest vulnerability. In the face of such overwhelming odds, humanity's spirit shone brightly, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. Yet this very spirit made them a target, uniting their enemies against them. And so, in the desolate wastelands of a dying world, an unholy alliance was forged, a pact sealed in blood and darkness. The aliens and zombies, once enemies themselves, now stood side by side, united by their common goal. The landscape, scarred by countless battles, bore witness to this dark union. The air was thick with the stench of decay and the hum of alien machinery, a testament to the new order that had been established. This alliance, born out of necessity and fueled by hatred, marked the beginning of a new era, one where humanity's survival hung by a thread. The initial wave of attacks was swift and brutal. Cities fell overnight, transformed into graveyards patrolled by the living dead and their alien overlords. The aliens, their technology far exceeding anything humanity could muster, bombarded cities from the sky, reducing them to rubble. From the ashes of civilization rose the walking dead, their ranks swelled by the countless victims of the alien onslaught. Those who survived the initial onslaught fled into the wilderness, seeking refuge in the forgotten corners of the world. But there was no escape. The aliens, their senses augmented by technology, hunted them relentlessly from the skies, while the relentless hordes of undead pursued them on the ground, their moans echoing through the ruins of civilization. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The planet, once a vibrant tapestry of life, was slowly being consumed by the encroaching darkness. The air grew thick with the stench of decay, the skies choked with smoke and ash. Humanity, once the dominant species on Earth, had been reduced to scattered pockets of resistance, fighting a desperate, losing battle for survival. The aliens, cold and calculating, viewed the Earth as nothing more than a resource to be plundered. Their technology, fueled by the planet's lifeblood, carved deep scars into the Earth's crust, leaving behind polluted wastelands. The zombies, driven by their insatiable hunger, spread across the globe like a plague, leaving nothing but death and silence in their wake. One by one, the last bastions of humanity fell. Cities that once bustled with life and energy became silent tombs, their streets echoing with the whispers of a bygone era. The world as we knew it crumbled, leaving behind a haunting reminder of our fragility. The Eiffel Tower, once a symbol of human ingenuity, now lay twisted and broken, a macabre jungle gym for the undead. The Iron Giant, which had stood tall through wars and revolutions, was now a mere shadow of its former self, overtaken by nature and decay. The undead roamed freely, their hollow eyes reflecting the desolation around them. They climbed the twisted metal structures, their movements slow but relentless, as if mocking the achievements of a civilization that once prided itself on progress. The Great Wall of China, a testament to human endurance, was overrun by a tide of rotting flesh. This ancient marvel, which had withstood the test of time, now crumbled under the weight of the undead, its stones echoing with the groans of the damned. The pyramids of Giza, silent sentinels to history, now echoed with the moans of the damned. These ancient structures, which had once been the final resting place of pharaohs, were now the playground of the undead, their grandeur overshadowed by the horror that surrounded them. The last stand of humanity took place in the ruins of New York City. This once great metropolis, known for its resilience and spirit, became the final battleground. The skyline, once a symbol of hope and ambition, was now a jagged silhouette against a blood-red sky. Outnumbered and outgunned, the remaining survivors fought with the courage born of desperation. They battled not just for their lives but for the very essence of humanity. Each skirmish, each act of defiance was a testament to the indomitable human spirit. But against the combined might of the alien invaders and their zombie horde, even the bravest hearts were doomed to fail. The invaders, with their advanced technology and ruthless efficiency, had turned the undead into their foot soldiers, creating an unstoppable force that swept across the globe. The streets ran red with blood, the air thick with the smell of gunpowder and decay. The once vibrant cities were now graveyards, their silence broken only by the distant cries of the few who still clung to life. The fall of mankind was complete, a stark reminder of the fragility of our existence. In the final hours, as the alien warships rained fire from the sky, a small group of survivors huddled in the depths of a subway tunnel. Among them was a young woman named Sarah, her eyes reflecting the horrors she had witnessed. In her arms, she cradled a baby, its innocent slumber a stark contrast to the carnage unfolding above. Sarah looked at the child, its tiny fingers gripping her own. In that moment of despair, she found a flicker of hope. This child, this symbol of innocence and resilience, represented the future. Humanity might be on the brink of extinction, but as long as even one of them survived, there was still a chance, however slim, that the light of hope would not be extinguished. The horrors you have just read are only the beginning. The world is now a playground for aliens and their zombie horde. Humanity's future hangs by a thread. Share this tale of horror with everyone you know. Let them know the truth. We must stand together if we are to survive the coming darkness. This chilling tale was brought to you by Scary Snacks. Enjoy a bag while you ponder the horrors of the universe. But be warned, you might be sharing them with a zombie next.